Hello, grade 8s. This is a little video that I've made for you on ratios. So I'm going to take you quickly through what ratios are. So ratios, for example, this is a ratio, 2 to 5. Basically, a ratio is a comparison of two values, two different amounts. So this is a two-term ratio. An example would be if there was two circles and 5 x's, that would be at a ratio of 2 to 5. A three-term ratio looks like this. So we have three different numbers, 1 to 2 to 3. That's how we say it. And so, for example, this is a three-term ratio because we are comparing circles to x's to dots at a 1 to 2 to 3 ratio. That's simply what it means. Now we're going to take you through the different kinds of ratios. So here's an example, a part-to-part ratio. There's two different kinds. This is a part-to-part. The other one is called a part to whole, and we'll do those shortly. So, for example, we have 4 squares and 6 x's. The question says, what is like the ratio of x's to squares? So you have to follow the order. It's x's to squares. So 6 x's to 4 is what we write, 6 to 4. And one thing about ratios, it's very similar to fractions. We always reduce. So if we divide these both by 2, then we get 3 to 2. So we always want to make sure we write the ratio in the lowest form. All right, here's another example. So here we have a question that's asking for what is the ratio of circles to dots to x's. We have to stay in that order. So circles to dots to x's. So we just count the values. And this will be a three-term ratio. So it looks like we have 8 to 12 to 2. That's a three-term ratio. Now we have to make sure it's reduced, and we notice that we can actually divide these all by 2, and so we would get 4 to 6 to 1, and that is the lowest three-term ratio we can get. Okay, a little introduction there, and we'll just keep moving along here. So next, we have part to whole ratios. We have ones where you can see it's a little bit different. The question says, what is the ratio of squares to the total? So here we have squares to the total. And the total means all shapes, including the squares. So the squares are 4. The total is 10. So the ratio is 4 to 10. And of course, that reduces 2 to 5 when we divide them both by 2. So 2 to 5. We write it as a fraction. These can be written, part to whole ratios should be and can be written as fractions. So this is 2/5. So we write this is the numerator, this is the denominator. As a decimal, when we divide 2 and 5, 2 divided by 5, we would change that to a decimal. In this case, it's 0.4. And to make a decimal into a percent, we multiply this number by 100, or we move the decimal 2 places over to the right, which makes this 40%. All right, that's how you do that. So here's another example. So we have now 3 terms. We have circle and dots to x's. It says, what is the ratio of circles to the total? Well, circles, there's 8. And now the total shapes, there's 8 of these and 12 and 2, right? So we have 8 and 12 and 2. So we have 22 shapes all together. So the ratio of circles to the total is 8 to 22. And of course that reduces to 4 to 11. There's the ratio in lowest terms. We write it as a fraction, 4 over 11. We change it to a decimal by dividing top by bottom, and you get 0.36. We multiply that by 100 to get the percent. We get 36%. And that's how you do that. Lastly, sometimes we will get what is the ratio of dots and circles to the total. So dots and circles, we want to combine dots and circles to the total. So I have to add dots and circles. So dots were 8, was 12, and circles were 8. So we add those together and we get 20. So there's 20 to the total shapes that we counted was 22. So 20 to 22 is the ratio. That can be reduced if we divide them both by 2. So we get 10 to 11. That is the lowest form. We write this as a fraction, 10 over 11. We divide them to get the decimal, so that works out to be 0.91. We change to a percent, which works out to be 91%. And that is a little introduction on ratios. On my next lesson, we're going to look at ratio problems. There's usually two kinds, with part-to-part ratio problems, part-to-whole. So if you want to learn about problems, watch the next video.